Cleveland was almost afraid to ask the question. No. A shadow came over Sam's face. I'm afraid, but I'm hoping it's only that those creatures, whatever they are, have taken him so far away that he can't reach us. They certainly are so far away that we can't reach them, Roudebush volunteered. We can't even get their ultrawave interference anymore. Yes, that's a hopeful sign, Sams went on. I hate to think of Conway Costigan checking out. There, fellows, was a real observer. He was the only man I have ever known who combined the two qualities of the perfect witness. He could actually see everything he looked at, and could report it truly to the least detail. Take all this stuff, for instance, especially their ability to transform iron into a fluid allotrope, and in that form to use its intra-atomic energy as power. Something brand new, unheard of except in the ravings of imaginative fiction, and yet he described their converters and projectors so minutely that Fred was able to work out the underlying theory in 3 days, and to tie it in with our own supership. My first thought was that we'd have to rebuild it iron-free, but Fred showed me my error. You found it first yourself, of course. It wouldn't do any good to make the ship non-ferrous, unless you could so change our blood chemistry that we could get along without hemoglobin, and that would be quite a feat, Cleveland agreed. Then, too, our most vital electrical machinery is built around iron cores. No, we'll have to develop a screen for those forces. Screens, rather, so powerful that they can't drive anything through them. We've been working along these lines ever since you reported, Roudebush said, and we're beginning to see light. And in that same connection, it's no wonder that we couldn't handle our supership. We had some good ideas, but they were wrongly applied. However, things look quite promising now. We have that transformation of iron all worked out in theory, and as soon as we get a generator going, we can straighten out everything else in short order. And think what that unlimited power means. All the power we want. Power enough even to try out such hitherto purely theoretical possibilities as the neutralization of gravity, and even of the inertia of matter. Hold on, protested Sams. You certainly can't do that. Inertia must be, a basic attribute of matter, and surely cannot be done away with without destroying the matter itself. Don't start anything like that. Fred, I don't want to lose you and Lyman, too. Don't worry about us, Chief, Roudebush replied with a smile. If you will tell me what matter is fundamentally, I may agree with you. No? Well, then don't be surprised at anything that happens. We are going to do a lot of things that nobody ever thought of doing before. Thus, for a long time, the argument and discussion went on, to be interrupted by the voice of the secretary. Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Sams, but some things have come up that you will have to handle. Nobos is calling from out near Mars. He has caught the Endymion, and has killed about half her crew doing it. Milton has finally reported for Venus after being out of touch for 5 days. He trailed the Wintons into Thalaron Swamp. They crashed him there, but he won out and has what he went after. And just now I got a flash from Fletcher in the asteroid belt. I think that he has finally traced that dope line. But Nobos is on now. What do you want him to do about the Endymion? Tell him to... No, put him on here. I'd better tell him myself, Sams directed, and his face hardened in ruthless decision as the horny, misshapen face of the Martian lieutenant appeared upon the screen. What do you think, Nobos? Shall we come to trial or not? No. I don't think so either. It is better that a few gangsters should disappear in space than run the risk of another uprising. See to it. Right. The screen darkened, and Sam spoke to his secretary. Put Milton and Fletcher on whenever their rays come in. He then turned to his guests. We've covered the ground quite thoroughly. Goodbye. I wish I could go with you, but I'll be pretty well tied up for the next week or two. Tied up doesn't half express it. Rodebush remarked as the two scientists walked along a corridor toward an elevator. "He probably is the busiest man on the 3 planets." "As well as the most powerful," Cleveland supplemented, "and very few men could use his power as fairly. But he's welcome to it, as far as I'm concerned. I'd have the pink Phantods for a month if I had to do only once what he's just done, and to him it's just part of a day's work." "You mean the Endymion? What else could he do?" "Nothing. That's just what I'm talking about. It had to be done, since bringing them to trial would probably mean killing half the people of Morsica. But at the same time, it's a ghastly thing to have to order a job of deliberate, cold-blooded, and illegal murder." "You're right, of course, but you would—" He broke off, unable to put his thoughts into words. For while inarticulate, manlike, concerning their deepest emotions, in both men was ingrained the code of their organization. Both knew that to every man chosen for it, the service was everything, himself nothing. But enough of that. We'll have plenty of grief of our own right here. Rodebush changed the subject abruptly as they stepped into a vast room, almost filled by the immense bulk of the Boise, the sinister spaceship which, although never flown, had already lined with black so many pages of Triplanetary's roster. She was now, however, the center of a furious activity. Men swarmed over her and through her, in the orderly confusion of a fiercely driven but carefully planned program of reconstruction. "I hope your dope is right, Fred," Cleveland called as the two scientists separated to go to their respective laboratories. "If it is, we'll make a perfect lady out of this unmanageable man-killer yet." End of chapter.